Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for your time today, as well as all the time that you've already dedicated to this competition. We're delighted to present to you Cattlyst, our proposal for the East Village, starting with team introductions. Team Cattlyst is comprised of 5 students from Georgia Tech and Daisy, our mascot. My name is Erin Heidelberger, and I'm a Master's of Science in Architecture student with a concentration in high-performance buildings.
Hi, my name is Achilles Turkunde, and I am Master's of Architecture student from Georgia Tech.
Hello, my name is Huangde Zhao, and I'm learning urban design in Georgia Tech and learning architecture history in China.
Hi everyone, I'm Robin Cornell. I'm a Master of Architecture student and a Master of Science in Civil Engineering student at Georgia Tech.
Hi everyone, my name is Alex Sopton. I'm an MBA student at Georgia Tech doing concentrations in real estate and finance. And below you can see Cattlyst advisors, Ellen Dunham-Jones, Harry Yang, Howard Wertheimer, David Haddow, and Chris Fosemine. Now that introductions are complete, I'm going to pass it over to my teammate Erin, who's going to provide you with our vision for Cattlyst.
As we all know, downtown Kansas City has seen significant development over the years. However, the East Village area has largely been left undeveloped and has a lot of potential. We were tasked with generating a catalytic vision that will have a positive economic impact on the area, and that increases the area and the site and surrounding areas' sustainability and resilience. Cattlyst brings diversity, density, and activity back into the area. It celebrates Kansas City's agricultural roots while launching the city into the future of food. The development serves as a complete community focused on showcasing innovation in food technology. It leverages strategic partnerships as well as its location in the Central Business District and establishes itself as an innovation district anchored by a diverse neighborhood. We accomplish this through 3 primary pillars of the development: innovate, inhabit, and inspire. Under innovation, Cattlyst offers lab spaces, office spaces, incubators, and a partnership with several local universities to bring academics, established companies, and cutting-edge startups together in one place. Our inhabit pillar is very important to the design because it focuses on building a true neighborhood. Cattlyst offers a wide variety of housing typologies and ownership models, and a variety of everyday essential retail and amenity offerings to support the complete community design. Inspire is the element that ties the development together. The Inspire pillar furthers our goals of equity by offering training, education, and job opportunities for all local Kansas Cityans. The open space network across Cattlyst provides opportunities for spontaneous interaction to further innovation and bring diverse groups of people together. And we use food as a social catalyst. You will continue to see all of these ideas pop up throughout the presentation today as they drive Cattlyst's identity. With this in mind, Alex will outline the market demand that supports Cattlyst.
Thank you, Erin. The idea behind Cattlyst is to provide the companies, research, and educational institutions in the area with the platform of Kansas City as the global leader in food technology moving forward. Kansas City already has the market demand, industry expertise, and talent base to support Cattlyst. A quick couple facts about Kansas City. They're currently the global leader in ag tech. There's nearly 400 companies, 100,000 farms, and over a 378,000 person workforce that produce more than $88 billion in annual agricultural revenue. The $226 billion food and beverage industry consists of over 660 companies. Additionally, Kansas City is located at the center of the animal health corridor, which is the largest concentration of animal health companies in the world with over 300 firms. The corridor represents 75% of total worldwide animal health, diagnostics, and pet food sales. Kansas City also has over 200 biotech companies and 20 universities throughout the region offering degrees in bioscience-related programs. Lastly, Kansas City is known as the Silicon Prairie with one of the largest and fastest growing tech workforces in the nation. Cattlyst represents a radical departure from traditional economic development. What differentiates Cattlyst is that it leverages distinct economic strengths unique to Kansas City to foster innovation across industries by concentrating people with different knowledge and expertise in a dense urbanized setting. Cattlyst will be a place where leading anchor companies and institutions can cluster and connect with startups, incubators, entrepreneurs, and accelerators. With Cattlyst, we have created a dynamic physical realm that strengthens proximity open innovation, knowledge sharing, and collaboration. Rather than a long commute, residents and users will have the opportunity to work and live in a place that is walkable, transit accessible, amenity rich, and that offers mixed use housing opportunities. Cattlyst brings together economic, physical, and networking assets that will ultimately create an innovation ecosystem, which is a synergistic relationship between people, firms, and place that facilitates idea generation.
Through this market research, we identified the growing food tech industry as a great fit for our innovation district. Food tech encompasses any companies that are changing the way we produce, transport, and consume food in order to sustainably feed a growing global population. This includes a whole range of companies, from alternative protein sources to meat substitutes, lab-grown meat and fish products, supply chain management to combat food waste, automation in food production, and so much more. There are some really big names in the industry, a lot of cutting-edge startups, and a lot of investment. We also want to integrate Cattlyst with the animal health corridor. Innovations in livestock health and pet food fit perfectly on our definition of the future of food. Before we move forward, we want to address the fact that you'll be seeing some presentations from our fellow finalists that propose a baseball stadium in the East Village. We feel very strongly that the stadium would be a missed opportunity for the area. Stadiums are risky, do not address issues of equity, and do not activate the neighborhood like Cattlyst does 24/7. Our proposal instead focuses on creating sustained economic development opportunities and urban activity that will serve all of Kansas City. Cattlyst will now walk us through how this translates into our master plan design.
Thank you, Erin. Cattlyst master plan takes advantage of the existing site condition and celebrates them. The proposal seamlessly views into the existing urban fabric. Cattlyst helps re-establish the link between the food and Kansas City. It acknowledges the culture of the city through its development. The educational urban farming, food festival, restaurant row, foodscaping, stockyard, event space, KC kitchen, community farming all play an essential role in defining Cattlyst. It acts as a prototype for future urban development. Cattlyst master plan conveys the idea of innovate, inspire, and inhabit from south to north of the development. Public spaces and right-of-way plays an important role in merging them together. Based on the framework and the analysis, Home Street acts as a connection in the development from north to south. All the public space and water infrastructure are connected to the Home Street. The junction on Home Street and 11th Street act as an important junction. The public right-of-way gets yielded to the pedestrian from the vehicular traffic. The 11th Street and 12th Street have dedicated bus lane, whereas Home Street, 9th Street, and Charlotte Street have dedicated bike lanes. The South Block conveys the idea of innovation and acts as a gateway to the development. The new transit station lies to the southeast of the development. The Innovation District consists of the local universities, satellite campuses, startup offices, vertical farming, incubators, student housing, Cattlyst hotel, with a parking that opens on the Cherry Street. The block also includes the courtyard along Home Street, which links the block to the development. Now that we have introduced you to the Innovation District, we want to show you what it is like to be there. This view that we see is at the Gateway Plaza from the southeast side of the development. It connects the innovative block proposal to the existing 12th Street Transit Center. The diagonal plaza orients the user to the office building and incubators and into the development. We can see the plaza in all of its activity during the morning commute as people jump off the bus and head into their labs. Another key component of our innovation district is the partnership with local universities. This view drops us inside of the outdoor work and display space connected to the satellite campuses. Collaborative work culture is the driving factor of the Cattlyst Innovation District.
Yeah, thanks, Archie. Then let's move now. The innovation districts give way to the Inspire Zone, which is dominated by flexible open spaces and food. The 11th Street acts as a restaurant row, offering a variety of traditional dining options. Further north, the Stockyards is our food core, which offers counter service food options and essential groceries. It also showcases innovations happening in the development. The block surrounding it consists of KC Kitchen, educational urban farming, event space, retail, and apartments. This block, as mentioned earlier, acts as a connection in the development between all three districts. And this is what it is like grabbing dinner at the plaza on Restaurant Row. Restaurant Row is a food street where the best local restaurants in Kansas City will gather together here. At the same time, this restaurant will also cooperate with the East Village to try to use the latest technology and raw material developed here. When people finish their work in the office and or the incubator in the evening, they can come to the restaurant row, sit on the edge of the square and watch the sunset, communicate, and enjoy their food. Restaurant row is an open area, serves as a meeting place for all of the Kansas City's residents to come together and share a meal. Then, if we leave Restaurant Row, move along Home Street towards the north, lies the Stockyard, most important program in the whole development. It is a place of celebration, innovation, and gathering. It celebrates and merges the three main pillars. The Stockyard, our food hall, showcases innovations from all around Cattlyst. Kitty Kitchen is integrated here to connect the main community space with the open park. The plaza in front of it houses many key activities, including education, farming, urban farming, edible landscaping, event space, and more, which plays a critical role in binding the development together. The amphitheater park can host public performances. Residents can grab lunch from the stockyard and picnic in the park. And the residents of the neighboring community can also come by and pick up groceries from the market. You can also see the careful integration of the East Village apartments into the new development. As you can see, this really is the heart of the Cattlyst. Then let Robin take us continue to the north.
Thank you, Xiao. Finally, the northern part of our proposal integrates our housing and neighborhood elements in the Inhabit pillar of Cattlyst. Here, we are connecting to the existing East Village apartments, as well as retrofitting the parking deck on the same block with community recreational activities, including basketball and urban farming. The top two blocks, which are primarily new build elements, include senior housing, townhomes and apartments, and the East Village Primary School. The buildings in both blocks shelter courtyards, which include more recreational and food-focused activities, as well as water retention infrastructure and open spaces. Here, we see a snapshot of the playground and community garden hosted in the northwestern block of the development. This block is one of the most impactful places in Cattlyst, as it is where the children attend school at East Village Primary, as well as the location of the Senior Living Center. Cattlyst thrives when our families thrive, and this courtyard brings together all generations. Grandparents can pick up their grandkids from school, help with recess, or work in the garden with their families. Students have access to enriching after-school activities that help strengthen their family ties, so that Cattlyst is a truly multi-generational community. So far, we've shown you moments in Cattlyst, but our programming extends far beyond these snapshots. With the programming schedule based around our three main pillars, Cattlyst is active and vibrant year-round. Trainings and job fairs in the winter and spring help Cattlyst community members grow their skills and find careers in the growing food technology sector. Meanwhile, the parks and community spaces are busy hosting food-themed events year-round, ranging from Restaurant Week in January to a harvest festival in the fall. Holiday season is bustling too, as our amphitheater park hosts an ice rink and a multicultural holiday market sets up along homes. A constant across all of our events is community, with events targeted for a wide range of demographics, ensuring that at Cattlyst, there is something for everyone. To accomplish this rich programming calendar, we're leveraging a fine-grained plan that mixes uses both horizontally and vertically. We also maintain historic connections to the site through the adaptive reuse of every pre-existing structure on the site. The ground level of our proposal is where we invite all the occupants and users of Cattlyst to interact with each other and with the program. This level focuses on retail and community spaces, which are interwoven around the parks and focus activity on Home Street. These spaces are distributed through the development and focus on our main pedestrian streets, with parking tucked under other uses and opening onto Cherry Street. On 9th Street, Casey Kitchen is an innovative take on community space and the meaning of a library. This space provides community kitchen space, which runs cooking classes for local community members while also providing a space for gatherings and larger family events. Casey Kitchen also functions as a lending library for not only cookbooks, but also cooking equipment and everyday tools, allowing residents access to specialty equipment free of charge. The kitchen encourages collaboration, bringing residents out of their homes and into the public realm. The upper levels of the development focus on residential and office uses. Many of the buildings also include green roofs, which are available for the residents and occupants of the community to interact with and enjoy. Both the office space and residential space include options for a range of occupants. There is student housing that helps support the university, office space for companies of all sizes, and public space that encourages members of these different groups to interact with one another throughout the course of their day. The university partnerships, office tenants, and community residents all support each other, providing a wide range of jobs and educational opportunities for a diverse, multi-skilled workforce. Cattlyst is really all about the people, so we wanted to make sure that we created a place that was human scale and comfortable to be in. To do this, we really examined the cross sections of all the streets that ran through the site and thought about how we could leverage the existing streets with a little bit of redesign to emphasize walkability, biking, and urban third places. We are introducing a mix of strategies, including street trees, bioswales, and road dieting to work within the existing right-of-ways. Taken together, these strategies create a neighborhood network that calms traffic and creates a safe, comfortable, beautiful place for people to either walk through or linger in. Home Street especially really shines as our green spine, a linear park that connects all of our major green spaces and community spaces together. As shown in the large section, which parallels homes, Cattlyst community members can easily walk between Restaurant Row, the university and research centers, and the stockyards and residential buildings. Our development is scaled to create an urban atmosphere without losing the neighborhood feel, fostering a vibrant, thriving, safe community. Next, I'll hand it over to Erin to take you through the sustainability strategies at play in Cattlyst.
Sustainability is embedded across the project, starting with the decision to repurpose all existing buildings on site rather than demolishing and building new in their place. Beyond that, we use seasonal shadow studies and an annual sunlight analysis to inform the placement of our urban agriculture and community farming, which can be seen here in green, as well as our primary public spaces, which can be seen in blue. Cattlyst also implements green stormwater management practices to store and delay the water on site. We placed retention ponds at the lowest elevations across the site. Bioswales, mainly down Home Street, slow down and transport runoff to these retention ponds. Our green space network provides area to absorb water and reduce runoff. To further reduce the total amount of runoff, rainwater harvesting is utilized across the development to flush toilets and offset irrigation needs. If we were to capture rainwater from all non-green roof surfaces, we have the potential to harvest over 3 times our approximate annual irrigation needs, which will drastically cut back on Cattlyst's water and energy usage. All of the sustainability strategies across the development help Cattlyst to meet the requirements of both the place and health and happiness petals in the Living Community Challenge. I'm going to turn things back to Cattlyst to summarize Cattlyst's performance.
Thank you, Erin. So looking from the bigger picture, Cattlyst helped bring 4 important aspects in developing the East Village area of downtown Kansas City. First, it brings mix of land uses and program, using the 3 pillars of development, which are innovate, inspire, and inhabit, as mentioned earlier. The mix of land uses help connecting innovative jobs, inspiring interactive spaces, and diverse housing. Second, it thoughtfully integrates with the surrounding fabric to create human skill development and increases the vibrant user experience. Third, it improves public and environmental health of the area by making it more pedestrian user-oriented. Last and the most important thing, it brings the West Downtown, Paseo West, and other larger communities together around job, food, and education. Now that we have shown you our vision for the East Village, Alex will take you through how Cattlyst will be financed.
Thank you, AK. Before I speak about our financing plan, I'd like to direct your attention to the picture on the left, which just shows you an overall summary of our program and product type by location. And you can see that our residential component is in green, the retail and community facility component is in yellow, and then the office and commercial component is in blue. And I'll speak more in detail about our phasing strategy on the next slide. But in terms of our project's financing plan, Cattlyst is a 2.3 million square foot project that is going to be completed and financed between 3 different phases. Each of our phases will require a 2-year construction timeline with an additional 2 years to lease up and reach stabilization. The total development cost is $874 million, which broke down to $365 a square foot. The project is going to be financed using a variety of sources. Our capital stack consists of 60% debt, 21% equity, and 19% from public subsidies and creative financing. For the debt portion, each phase is going to be constructed with a 60% loan-to-cost construction loan that will fund each phase through stabilization. Upon stabilization, each phase will be refinanced at a lower interest rate with a 65% LTV permanent loan. As the site is located in the Paseo Gateway and Northeast Opportunity Zone, all of our equity in the project will be Opportunity Zone Fund equity. Additionally, due to the jobs that is going to be created from our hotel component in phase 3, an Eb5 loan will be utilized to fund that portion of the project. In terms of public subsidies, our team proposed to reestablish the East Village TIF, and based on the additional value that Cattlyst will bring to the area and the increased tax revenue the city will receive after the development's fully established, we believe that this is a reasonable request. Additionally, the residential component of Cattlyst is 35% affordable housing and 65% market rate. So our team is going to utilize the low-income housing tax credit and sell the total 10-year value for 88 cents on the dollar in order to get the equity up front. The new markets tax credit is also being utilized for our investment in the low-income undeveloped area. Our team has also established an East Village Community Improvement District, which is generated from a special assessment tax on assessed value and also for square footage on the parcels. These funds will be used to employ maintenance and safety ambassadors, as well as fund a portion of the new facilities improvements for public use. And lastly, a portion of our office and lab space in our innovation district will be funded through the Missouri Build financing program. This provides financial incentive for the location or expansion of large business projects and will be used to fund infrastructure and improvement costs. Our returns were strong for Cattlyst. Our return on cost for the project was above 8%, and our average spread was 221 basis points above our cap rates, which we believe gives us enough room for any uncertainty or market risk. Our overall levered return was at 23.4%, and when considering the tax benefits from investing in an opportunity zone, our levered return was 30.9% with an equity multiple of 3.7 for our investors. I'm now going to talk a little bit about our phasing strategy. And at a high level, the south end is anchored with our innovation district and a bulk of the office, lab, and research space. As you move north through the site, we began to thoughtfully incorporate our retail and amenity offerings mixed in with residential and community facility space. Our first phase is labeled Inhabit, and it's a total of 818,000 square feet, and over 2/3 of that is dedicated to our residential, retail, and community facility component. We really wanted to set the tone with our first phase and create the image for the development of an 18-hour, 15-minute city that is anchored around a complete community and neighborhood feel that you don't traditionally find within an urban context. Our focus on phase 1 was to make it desirable for people to live there by offering a variety of residential options for a diverse group of people. Our retail and amenity space was also had a focus on daily needs so that people had all the essentials in the development. And timing is a large part of how you phase a project. In the case, the Kansas City market has a great demand for housing options. And so we really wanted to fill that gap first, which would in turn spur the demand for other product types. So once the residential component is stabilized in phase 1 and office has had more time to recover from the impact of COVID, we brought in our second phase, which is Innovate. And this is where we established our innovation corridor. It was a total of 873,000 square feet, and 491,000 of that was our innovation district. And the innovation district is targeted towards a food technology and biotech user base. And our office space offerings are a mix of traditional office space, lab space, research space, and also incubator and startup space. We're also incorporating university satellite campuses to allow for collaboration between universities and the private sector. And lastly, our third phase which we labeled Inspire, is another 467,000 square feet where we brought in additional residential, commercial, and also our hotel component now that our development is fully established. We also brought in a data center, and data centers are becoming integral to how we live our connected lives. So we included one that could be leveraged by the users and tenants in our site. I hope that we've inspired you to believe that East Village truly wants to be a neighborhood built around innovation, habitation, and inspiration. Welcome to Cattlyst, the future of food. Thank you for the opportunity to present, and our group is happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Well, this is Joe Perry. I guess I can go with the first question. I had a question about the significant amount of planting beds. How would you activate those planting beds, especially in the stockyards and the community gardens area, from fall to spring when they're dormant, visually and functionally?
So we did quite a bit of research on different edible plants and plants that grow well in the Kansas City area. And there are a bunch of edible plants that, while they don't necessarily produce fruits or harvestable produce during the winter months, are still really vibrant elements that can be cared for, can have a lot of educational components to them, and are still like green and active in the space. So we plan to introduce a lot of those. Those include berries like lingonberries, and other kind of like slightly more winter berries, along with a bunch of trees that bear fruit that are still, active during the winter. And then also utilizing a mix of plants. So you can have plants that are active in the summer and then go dormant in the winter, but then have other plants that grow up in their spot during the winter and become dormant in the summer. So using a mix of those types of plantings to really activate those spaces and create like educational opportunities throughout the year, as well as opportunities for community gardening and food growth during different parts of the year.
So question for Alex on financing. You mentioned that Eb5 would be used to finance the hospitality or lodging component of the project. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the Eb5 loan, it's unique structure. It's really like taking an equity position on a debt investment. And so it was originally started to attract foreign investment to real estate capital or real estate investing in the US. And depending on the number of jobs that the project is going to create for the area is what determines the level of financing. And I think our hotel was going to create over 300 jobs. And so we were eligible for, I think, between 30 and $60 million in financing for it. And that was just a creative way that we used to fund the hotel component to it. And there's also benefits to lower interest rates on Eb5 loan as well.
Thank you. And one other question. So I noticed, and forgive me if I missed this in the presentation, but under the beaker, there's the 2021 to 2420. Is that a date designation that has some significance to the life of the project or something?
No, it's not. That we're required to have that on our slide. That's our team number for the ULI competition. It's actually funny. My advisor thought the same thing.
It's interesting also. I would have gone with that in terms of saying, hey, it's a 10-year development that has a 400-year lifespan. I think you could have gotten some miles out of it. Nice work, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask a question about the jobs. You referred to the 300 jobs on the hotel. And your presentation has 2,000 jobs, and you make a point of them being at multiple layers of skills. Do you break that down? Do you, in terms of the components of that 2,000 jobs, which I'm assuming are permanent jobs, correct?
Yeah, so those 2,000 jobs are permanent jobs, and that's an estimate based on the amount of square footage that we have across all of our commercial and retail product types. And then we broke that down based on how many people we think would be able to use a given space based on how it's programmed. So that is spread across all of our different types. I don't think we include the specific breakdown anywhere in our presentation, but that is broken down across office, across hotel, and across retail.
I have a question for you in regards to sustainability. In your sustainability slide, you talked about rainwater harvesting, as well as utilizing appropriate irrigation through the process. My question is, how do you propose to monitor the performance of your sustainability recommendations?
So the rainwater harvesting would be easy to calculate how much of that we are harvesting. And we wanted to make sure that we were at least offsetting the intense irrigation needs of the urban agriculture that we're proposing, because that definitely drives up water usage across the site. As far as the rest of the sustainability goes, I don't know that these are any necessarily metrics that we would be monitoring throughout the life of Cattlyst, so much as maintaining the rainwater harvesting infrastructure, maintaining the green stormwater management infrastructure, and making sure that we weren't having any kind of issues with runoff across the site.
Yeah, and I'll just add from a kind of yearly maintenance and upkeep perspective, one of the ways that we were going to fund those costs was through our community improvement district funds, because those are really, we're creating the safety ambassadors as well, but that those funds also go towards upkeep and maintenance of the different agricultural components and farming and rainwater harvesting elements in our project.
This is Susan. First of all, excellent presentation. Thank you. I just had a question for Alex and whoever else on the team. In your pro forma generating at 3.7x, I'm just wondering, that seems on the high side to me. I'm wondering what's the main drivers to generate that kind of return?
The main drivers for the 3.7 is the fact that that is based off of the levered opportunity zone fund return. And so there's a benefit for the investors to do the opportunity zone investment, which I believe reduces their tax basis by a total of 15% over 6 years or 10-year period. And so the 3.7x is based on that figure. And really, I mean, in terms of overall value creation for our project, the office and lab space component contributed to that greatly. I mean, it was very expensive to build, but also for some of the lab and research space, rents are pretty high for those. I believe they're around $100 a square foot for that component. And also the data center drove a lot of the value. And then the senior living site as well was very profitable, and at least in the first phase for the residential component.
Hi, this is Lauren. Great presentation. And it seemed like you really have created this place, and there's a lot of things in the place in terms of a master planning and development. So I got a couple questions. One, if you had to choose the wow moment, where would I go to take a wow photo and say to my friends, hey, that are outside of Kansas City, come and see this place? Where would that be? And then secondly, explain how now you've created this environment here, what was your connectivity back to or outside of this environment? What's the relationship? Is it mainly on the bus or pedestrian or bike? I may have missed that in your presentation.
Sure. So Robin, do you want to flip back to the stockyards rendering real quick? And that really to us is kind of the central component of the development. So that's where we're really bringing together some of the residential components. We're using that to showcase innovations happening in the office and lab spaces on the campus. So really showing some kind of innovative products in food technology. We're activating the central space in front of it. So year round, we have programming for this open plaza in front of it. It's where we're bringing in some of these urban agriculture moments. It's where people can come to grab lunch real quick. They can pick up some essential grocery items. So this is really kind of where we consider the wow moment. If you were going to direct someone to somewhere in Cattlyst, you would say, hey, you have to go get lunch at the stockyards. So to us, this would be that moment. And then in terms of connection, Robin, do you want to flip back to the master plan so we can talk about this real quick? We tried to make sure that Cattlyst was really connected. So the first big move that we decided was to not break the existing street infrastructure at all. So all existing north, south, and east-west connections remained. In addition to that, we actually made Home Street two-way for vehicular traffic to make sure that there was increased connection internally to the development. If you were coming from outside Kansas City, or sorry, if you were coming from outside the Cattlyst in Kansas City, you can take the bus to the transit center, which is diagonally southeast of our development. And we made sure to have a really big gateway plaza there to welcome people from that transit center into the development. And there are bus routes along the 12th and 11th Street. And then making sure to increase walkability and bikeability with increased street design. And so 9th Street we're using as an east-west pedestrian and bike access to both the downtown Kansas City and Paseo West. And making sure that it's welcoming for people, kind of all modes of transportation.
And just to add on that, basically we made our 11th Street where the restaurant row is more vibrant, yielding the street to the pedestrian access so that it adds to more vibrancy into the neighborhood.
Hi, I've got a question. First, great presentation, great bold ideas. My question is around in our downtown loop. We have relatively unlimited height allowed within our central business district. So a question around your decision to keep the vertical density, generally more of a low density development here.
I can answer just one part of that from my perspective, and anyone else feel free to chime in. But really what we were trying to do was we know that it's next to the downtown urban core, but we really wanted to differentiate this from what you would traditionally see in that setting. So we did not want to make this an extremely dense, very tall space. We wanted it to be a place where there was more open space and a little more human scale to where, you're seeing, especially with COVID and whatnot, people want more space. And so we wanted to try to give them like a neighborhood context within a city, but not as dense. If anyone else wants to chime in, you can.
Yeah, just to add on that, Robin, if you go back to the slide where we present the height and the diagram. Yeah, so basically what we try to do is we try to merge the whole context into the site. Like we took the context from all the sites and try to make it more user friendly. So when you are in the space near the stockyard, you get the feel of the whole development. So that was the overall idea, to have low density in some places and then the higher heights and high density on the outside of the development.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up on a similar vein. You're in a context where on your west, you have the really civic buildings. They have their own kind of mass in their volume there. And then on the east, you have the freeway. What were your thoughts as you were thinking about the fabric and the kind of building footprints that you were placing? What was the dialogue with the context you were kind of having discussions around? Just curious about that.
So one of the things that we really focused on when we were creating the master plan looked surrounding typologies of buildings, not so much necessarily their architecture, but what their purpose was. So placing all of our office near some of the other office uses that they would integrate much better with. And then the very top of our block, there's a couple major existing condominium buildings as well. So integrating some of our residential with those that are already surrounding. Thoughtful about where specifically we're placing those uses so that they really integrate with the buildings that are around them, because it's not just civic buildings. There's definitely a lot of those, but that's not the only context. And then in terms of the highway, just trying to find a way to screen some of the noise, that highway activity, without closing ourselves off from neighborhoods which are just across the highway. So using some of those uses as a way to showcase, like we have our vertical farming along the highway because it helps screen a little bit of the noise, but it also provides a really nice kind of gateway from Paseo West and some of those neighborhoods that are over the highway into our district. And they get to see kind of what it's about as they're entering.
Do you elaborate on your connections to the lower income neighborhood across the freeway? And more broadly, I believe Aaron touched on the theme of equity at the beginning of the presentation, but I'm wondering what specifically the team might be recommending with respect to land use or design elements that would promote cultural diversity and interaction within the East Village.
Sure. So as far as connections to Paseo West and the neighboring communities, we made sure to increase connections across that 9th Street bridge. So using street dieting to reduce the vehicular traffic and promote increased pedestrian and bike connections across that existing 9th Street connection. And then right south of that 9th Street connection is where we placed our community center, KC Kitchen. And that would be open to all residents of Kansas City. So that would include residents of Paseo West coming into the development. And then having the stockyards in that main park there, it really opens up the spaces for everybody and it makes it easy to access, specifically from Paseo West. In terms of equity across the project as well, furthering that, so we touched a little bit upon kind of the range of jobs that we would have. So we're not just creating kind of like office jobs or lab jobs that required skilled workers, but we have a lot in the restaurant industry, obviously with our whole restaurant row in the stockyards. We have a lot of everyday retail spread out throughout the development. And so we're trying to create permanent jobs at a variety of skill levels. And then with our education component, we're bringing in education from pre-K through higher ed. We really want to make sure that this partnership is not just kind of traditional higher education, but integrating with some of the local community colleges, as well as offering job training and certificate programs rather than just straight degree programs to give opportunities to everybody. With KC Kitchen, trying to increase access to nutritional literacy and give kind of training around nutrition and cooking and increase with our educational farming, increase knowledge of food production, where it's coming from. All of that. So that kind of plays out throughout the development.
Yeah, and I'd also add, Aaron, specifically for innovation districts, in terms of just traditional, in comparison to traditional economic development, innovation districts are definitely known to grow better and more accessible jobs. And so this is kind of through the employment and educational opportunities that would help the disadvantaged populations. And also a lot of the office users in the innovation district with a tech focus would dedicate a lot of their resources to helping to revitalize the surrounding neighborhoods and areas. I mean, you're seeing that in Atlanta right now with Microsoft's new headquarters here, where they're going to donate, I think, or invest 30 million in the surrounding area. So we thought that also some of the office users and tenants would do that. And also kind of indirectly just through tax revenues with this development as well.
I wanted to ask a question about the location of the senior housing building in the northwest corner. What were your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so the location of the senior housing was really thoughtfully placed next to the East Village Primary School. So we wanted to make that block specifically very multi-generational. So make sure that there was connections between the primary school and daycare and the senior housing. As well as that block had an existing senior housing building on it. And so we're keeping that location. We're repurposing the existing senior housing into traditional units, and we're building new senior housing directly behind it. But making sure to integrate that with the neighborhood component that we're really emphasizing up in the north and connecting that to the East Village Primary School that we're building.
As a follow-up to that, I'm curious about the connection. We talked a lot about connections to the neighborhoods and mobility. Kansas City has a really celebrated streetcar system. I haven't heard you talk about that, especially as it relates to seniors who might have limited mobility or some of the other neighborhoods that we're trying to integrate. If you could hit on that briefly.
Yeah, so the streetcar system doesn't currently reach over where our site is, but there's proposed potential expansion along 12th Street, which would integrate with that transit hub. And so we are not, we are leaving the opportunity open for the streetcar to be expanded to the development, but right now focusing on connecting to that transit hub where it would come in.
All right, thanks everybody.
All of the jurors.
Yeah, thank you all. We appreciate the time and opportunity today.
Thank you. Nice work.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Well done.